here.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite IDW's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the G-Creations masterpiece take on Prime, which they call Ultra Maximus. Fair enough. Look, I think we all know that this transformation is not going to be easy, okay? So we're going to do the best we can. We're going to talk about what works and what doesn't in regards to it, and we're going to take our time and do it step by step. Outside of that, he comes with a few accessories. Let's go ahead and get into that so that we can get through this transformation, which you and I both know is going to be a bit of a bear, especially with our 10 friends here that rarely cooperate. He comes with these two guns. They're identical. It's gray plastic with silver painted details on them, and they look nice. Of course, we could have used more paint, as we always can, but I do appreciate that they decided to throw a few details on there. It really helps break it up and make it look a bit more interesting. You get two of them. They operate off of the kind of the Make Toys school of thought, where you have this T-jointed type handle here, which slides into a correlating port on his hand so that he holds it securely. And as you can see, that system works just fine. He also comes with this little chunk of plastic here. Nothing really to write home about, just gray plastic, but it does perform a pretty cool function. You take this, and once again, it has those corresponding slots. You put that right in there, which is the same type of slot that's in his hand. And then you take this and insert over top of one of these panels inside the MP10 trailer, and it will snap in securely, and then it can be stored in the trailer with it closed in alt mode. Pretty smart. And of course, he comes with this to attach to the trailer, which we'll take a look at here shortly. Well, it may not be shortly, but we'll take a look at it as soon as we get to it. How about that? He comes with a matrix, of course, because he's a Prime, and it's like an unwritten rule somewhere that he has to, I guess, so that he can give half of it to Bumblebee and half of it to Hot Rod. Either way, it has a light blue gem in there this time, and it does work. It works pretty well. It picks up light fairly well, and it does look like maybe more luminescent. And it has this gold finish, which looks really sharp, and this chrome finish, which also looks good. And what's a matrix really worth if you can't store it in this chest by flipping these open, flipping this down, and then inserting up into there, flipping up, flipping down, solid. And lastly, a pair of alternate ears. The word on the street is that this is what delayed this piece, that ears sitting out more at an angle that people were complaining, and they tried to facilitate that. Like the box even says 2016 and stuff like that, so they were definitely intending on it getting it out before January, but that's the rumor. We'll take a look at it. So straight ears, and you just, it's scary. This is very scary. But you take them off. I would grab here at the bottom. This is my first time trying it, and just sort of wiggle waggle, so to speak. And then insert the other ears. Sorry for the cut, but I ended up placing them down next to the other ones, and then I lost track of which were which, and I had to kind of figure it out. Sorry. Either way, there they are with the more outward ears. I think I prefer this, but I'm going to put the straight ears back on for the sake of transformation, just in case one does break. I have the set that I actually want to display them with ready to go. So let's take a look at them. Let's zoom in on the head. It is quite nice. You got that nice blue chromish paint on the eyes, the silver chrome, the silver chrome both on the forehead and on the side of the cheeks there. It looks really good. It's a sweet profile as well. The head is on a hinge swivel, which I prefer. However, it is a bit limited in its downward movement, which I'm not crazy about. Also, we can talk about the blue in general. I dig it. I think some people are going to have a problem with it, but I like its muted tone. It reminds me of the comic. Now, I've seen it colored a number of different ways, obviously, because a number of different colorists work on the book, but this somehow rings true to me. I don't know how else to describe it. Anyway, the head is on a swivel and a hinge, but it is very limited in its downward motion. If you can see, that's all you get. Like, that's straight and that's down. And I don't really see a reason why it needed to be that limited. Like, it seems like a few alterations to the sculpt and you could have got it. And that's up. Otherwise, good to go. Great sculpt work. Great sculpt work all around, which we will talk about. I do have to say that before we get too far ahead, this has very, like what they call heroic proportions, where the legs are significantly longer than the upper part of the body. That may bother some. It doesn't bother me. It was a little off-putting at first, but the more that I look at it, the more I tend to appreciate it and like it. So I'm just putting that out there. That may be an issue for you. I can't speak on it. But to get back to him, let's talk about the chest. So we have a lot of these painted details. First of all the headlights here are all painted, or marker lights they might be. I'm not sure. And then we have like a lot of this little tampo paint, all that writing and stuff. Like I can't even read what that says. I'm getting so old. Cautions down at the bottom. I'm not sure. There's like warnings and caution stuff written all over them. There's a warning over there on that shoulder. All that stuff looks great. All that sharp paintwork looks great. We have this clear translucent piece here. You know I'm not crazy about clear translucent plastic to illustrate windshields. I just think it's ultimately the wrong move. It ends up looking too transparent, to be quite honest. And then we have no ankle, no real diaphragm joint, which I am a bit surprised by. I just imagine that it looks to have that real action figure element. I would have imagined that it would have had something, but I can't seem to find it if it does. We do have a waist swivel. Sometimes you can get caught up on the little pieces back here. Just manipulate the pieces out of the way and make a clear, clean swipe. You know, and it's not easy because there's a lot of moving pieces on this guy, which I think most of us are aware of. So, you know, just be cautious, but it is there. Silver finish on the grill, that looks good. Silver finish on the side there, little paint nuances and so forth. All that looks good. The shoulders are a bit strange as well, and it's just the way that they work. They're a little, they're just a little, fragile isn't the right word. They're like a little flimsy because they're not plugged into anything at the bottom, as you can see there. It's just this assembly here that works off of a top crossbar. So it doesn't feel 100% secured, which is, it's fine. I think it's acceptable given the sculpt. You do get a little bit of movement there at a small hinge. And then if you manipulate this piece here, and then also there's some tight joints here as well. This piece there, you can get the arm out to 90 degrees with no problem. There's also a bit of a butterfly joint here. It's tight and squeaky, but it's there. A little food for thought. Bicep swivel at the bottom of it, that works well. We'll close this up as we go. Double jointed elbow getting you a great range. All the white paint, once again, looks brilliant. Really sharp, really clean. It's outstanding paintwork here. I wish I, you know, as usual, I could have used more of it on a quote-unquote masterpiece styled figure, but I have to give credit where credit is due, and the paint that is here is brilliant. All right, so moving down the figure, we have a little bit of gray paint in there, all sharp and clean as we've come to expect. A wrist swivel, the fingers on a base pen knuckle with the index finger moving, independently. The problem is that all the fingers are curved. So you can kind of get a relaxed pose, but you can't really, and you can get a fist, and that's about it. That's what you're limited to. I also want to note that there are a number of stress marks on this guy. I don't know if you can see that. There's one right there. There's also one right there at the kind of where those two pieces meet. And that's a very thin piece of plastic. So you're going to want to approach this fella a little bit differently, I think, just in terms of how much caution you use. I also say the same for the other side, but my wrist on this one won't budge. It's in there too tight, and I can't get it to move. I even took some pliers to it, and I can't get it to move. For the hips, you have these pieces here, and they're actually on a double hinge, which is smart because in order to keep the aesthetic, you kind of need that there, but you can kind of completely get this out of the way in order to get the range of just about 90 degrees, which is cool. I definitely appreciate that. On a forward ratchet, this is a universal joint, by the way, but it's just friction out to the side. It does get a little hung up in all of these little places with all of these little knickknacks and doodads. So it's a little bit limited. Oh, you can't see that, can you? It's a little bit limited. You know, this is a figure where like you kind of keep pushing the envelope. You can find new things, but that's definitely, you know, not the best range. A little squeaky there too, which is not a big deal to me, but it is to some. Thigh swivel, that works fine. This feels like die-cast to me. Double jointed knee, getting you the full range, which is great. All this paint on this die-cast. I am having paint chipping on the die-cast. That's more common than we like to admit because we all love die-cast, but we know that can be a potential issue, so use caution. The legs are cool aesthetically. There's also a lot of paint work, more of this tampoed paint. This is white plastic here, but that's white paint there. It's a lighter blue paint there, possibly black paint in there, it looks like. Die-cast feet with blue and gray paint on it there, which looks really good. The feet themselves do have a lot of articulation, but they are tight. Ankle tilt, toe tilt up. Down here, you have to forgive me when I'm talking about it. I have the heel like this because I was trying out some of the transformation stuff, and it's obviously supposed to be back like that. You have this piece here which covers down on the joint, but you can get a little bit of an ankle tilt up. It's the slightest angle, but you can get it. And then you cover this back down. And then, well, for the sake of showing you, ankle rocker to a pretty great angle. You might even be able to, yeah. So, no real complaints there. That all works well, and it obviously is the same on the other side. We'll take a look at the back of the figure real quick. I'd say it cleans up pretty well. This is a little busy, but it's not hateful. And some of the designs in IDW are a little busy, I think to their credit, not to their detriment. So I'm okay with that. I'm on board with all of that. I don't think that it's distracting enough where it's really an issue. I think that it's relatively smart in its presentation. Look, there's a fair chance I'm making some mistakes on this one, all right? Let's just get that. Let's just be prepared for that, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this knee pad down. It's on a double hinge. A lot of double hinges on this unit. We're gonna bring that down. We're gonna bring this out, bring the back part out. This should allow you to flip this piece forward and bring this out just the slightest bit, which will allow this like 3-armed octopus here to spin. Actually, maybe we need to push the wheels over first. There. And now the 3-armed octopus can spin. And what we want is this piece here to be at the top. This piece. So you can kit this up. You can open up these little tabs here. That's for later. And then you want to close all of this up. On the foot, you take, good grief, come on, that piece and flip it up, which will allow you to get the full range of motion on the foot, and then close the ankle part down. I had them down already, but no big deal. On this side, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna open this up. We're gonna bring the knee down. We're gonna open this up and open this up, which allows you to get the full movement on this. You can push that piece forward, and then you wanna spin this. And I did it the long way, the other way, but we're gonna do it the smart way this time, so that this piece here is sitting up on the top. We can then close all this, which will allow this to plug back into here, so to speak. Open this up here on the back, these two tabs. That comes into play later. Open up this on the foot, which will allow you to fold the foot all the way down, and then fold the heel up. And with this plugged in, I don't know why I'm having such trouble, because it's a double hinge. So just to recap, and I might do some recaps, I guess, for this, because this one's not an easy one. When it's all said and done, and this still ain't quite right. There we go. When it's all said and done, you'll have this piece sitting next to the tire here. You'll have the foot sitting flat like this. You have two gray pieces inside of there that are pushed into the calf. You have this gray piece plugged both into the calf here and to this outside piece here. And then you have this piece free, and the knee is pushed down and facing in. And you can also, I think you can take these pieces on the double hinge and go ahead and rotate them down as well, I believe. And now we make the upper body explode. So turn 180, open these pieces up here. They tab in right there where that white is, as you can see. And I have stress marks on mine as well. And let's see. Open this piece up here. The head is on a double hinge, the neck system. Open this piece up here, and that should allow you to extend this entire assembly out so that all of this stuff is left open. So you bring these pieces out just as far as you can. We need to get some wiggle room here. These pieces come out as well. You see they're on an armature here that swings outward. And then you can kind of use a butterfly joint here to get this tire out, which is not necessarily easy. And then the tire is also on a slider here and a slider down in there. So it's two sliders, and then just leave this out. So we'll show that again. Bring the rib cage, I guess, for lack of a better term, out, double hinge, and around, which will allow you access to get to the tire. It's on the sliding bar down at the bottom, out, and across the top, forward. And then you got that out of the way. You can then interlock these pieces, which is a little tricky to do on camera, but I think we've got it there. And then you want to fold. No, I just undid it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's get these pieces out. You need to fold this grill down while bringing out the other faux grill. All right, mistake number one. I told you I knew I was doing something wrong. This piece slides out, which will then give you the clearance to get these pieces up and around. And they'll plug in to the side of the grill. And then the grill plugs in underneath this piece here. And then these pieces sit down underneath those, so that you kind of have something that looks like that. Take these pieces, extend them, and then you want to kind of make an L shape here. It's something I just wasn't paying attention to. I moved the shoulder out of the way to show you. These side panels here operate off of this armature. This has to come inside, so to speak. So you see, let's see if I can't show you. Yeah, perfect. So you see how this armature here with this door is sitting outside of this. There's a little notch there. And this one is correct, and this is sitting inside the notch. So what we need to do, or what you would need to make sure is done, is make sure that this piece, and there's a series of hinges, so as long as you're careful, you can fix it no matter what stage in the transformation you're in. Just rotate it around to the inside so that it's now sitting inside the notch. That will allow you to get the proper angle here on the wheel well, which, trust me, will pay off later. Open up this bottom flap underneath the forearm. Bring that around. As you do so, it will automatically tuck the hand into this cavity as long as it's squared away and in the shape of a fist. And then just kind of keep that out there. Open up this flap here. Open up this flap in the back. Open up this gray flap here. Open up this flap here, and I think you can open it up all the way. Look at that stress mark that runs through there. Can you see that? This is tricky even for me, so we're just going to try to get through it. Clean this up to a point where this flap, I believe, is facing forward. Turn the bicep so that the door is facing you, and then bring this armature up and around, and I think this plugs in, let's see, yeah, right underneath. And you kind of just gotta use both the hinges in order to do so. Notice the pin inside of the arm piece and slide it down. And I'm just gonna have to do the best I can here, but take the arm piece, move it to the back, bring the arm assembly up. That's why we have this gray piece flipped up to the back. As you do, you can rotate this piece down, and you want to make sure that that's fully extended. And then you bring this piece around, and you want it to sit utilizing the double jointed elbow so that this can eventually tab in so that it'll sit something like that. Okay, so that is correct. Now I know that seems like a mess, but trust me. So same for the other side. We want to make sure the hand is squared away. Unplug this, rotate this around so that the hand sits tucked in there. And then on the top part, we want to make sure that this comes around and can plug back into there. Flip this up. See, that's a tight little, look at that stress mark there. Ooh. Doesn't feel great. And flip this gray piece up, and then flip that piece out, that red piece. Then you want to have this so that this piece is facing out, I believe, and the door is facing you. Then you want to take note of the sliding bar, which you can see right there. Make sure that that is slid down. And then rotate this around. So, and it's like all coming apart. But we knew this wasn't going to be pretty when we started. Let's lower the camera just a little bit and try to keep it all in frame. We're going to bring the arm up, utilizing the double elbow down so that this will close up on this piece, which we have to rotate down while keeping this piece as flat to the back as we can. There. That is what we want. I know it doesn't look like that's what we want. And I've got this one. I got this elbow. There. So that that all sits nice towards the back. I know it doesn't look pretty, but that's the general shape, you know what I mean, of the side of the truck that we're looking for. Okay, so then we're gonna take the head and we're just gonna collapse it so that it's kind of facing down. We're gonna keep the ears pointing down to the ground. Okay, and then on the front, we're gonna take these side mirrors and make sure that they're out now. And then we're just gonna slide. It didn't break, by the way, that piece that fell off. It was this piece here, and it just comes out. So thankfully it comes out, and so to speak. And then we're gonna, what is going on here? There it is. I don't know if you could see it. It's a subtle slide, but it's on a, there it is. It's hard to show you exactly where it's at, but it's right up in here, and it just slides a bit out left and right. Missed a quick step. This piece here on both sides rotates in, which is also not easy to do. There, that one's in. This one still is not. I'll just take that off. There. Now both those pieces are in. I'll put this little fella back on. As you bring this up, just get all this stuff out of the way. We'll deal with it later. Flip it up, flip it around, do what you gotta do to get it out of your hair. As you bring this piece up, rotate these red pieces around to the back. Let's get these out of the way. And this armature is sitting up underneath the red. Bring this around, rotate this 360, that will sit in there. And now we can kind of start tabbing things in. So, goodness gracious. You can slide these pieces out, might actually help. It's just a series of interlocking tabs that kind of have to be sorted out. And there's no real easy way to do it that I can see. You just kind of gotta have to work at it piece by piece. There's gonna be a lot of cleaning up on this in the end. There. Tab that. These doors flip open. And then all of this tabs together. This tab here into that white door there. This red tab here into this piece. This white tab into this piece. So I'm gonna do one on camera and then I'll do one off camera. There. 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 And then you can rotate the legs back. And then this tire will tab in to there. On the back, we have these pieces left over from the legs. So this piece has to come up and interlock there, there, and then one piece goes in over there, the piece that we flipped out. So let's give this a shot. And it's unfortunate that, like, I hope you can see this. It's unfortunate that, like, a lot of these, like, final steps, like, you feel like you need to keep it clean, and then everything that you do kind of makes it not clean. So we have two pieces, and they should, can we do it? There. Then you take these side flaps and that tab goes into that corresponding slot. You know, you'd think they'd make one thing easy on you. There. And we'll do it on the other side. And then the spoiler, you just kind of have to get in a position that makes sense. That part is fairly intuitive. Once again, it's on a series of hinges, so you shouldn't have too many. Oh, there's a little ball joint there, which is strange. And then bring them together. And set them down. And dear Lord, high in the heavens, she's done. I've cleaned it up the best I can. There's still a couple places that the alignment is a little strange. But, you know, oh well. That's just going to have to do. And like my wheels it's a little tight. Oh, there goes one. Oh, there we go. They're just a little tight on there. But she rolls. Look, I think it's a great truck. I think that the engineering is also brilliant. I also recognize that it's a bit above my pay scale. It's a bit out of my league. It's not easy, and it's certainly not easy for me. But it does have a rewarding aspect to it. There is a element of rewarding. Like it's not rewarding in the sense of like feeling good necessarily. It just feels as though you accomplished something, which is nice. So let's put this on. I think this is supposed to go there. And then you have this tab's all the way in, but I can't. Nothing can be easy for me on this one. And then you can connect the MP10 trailer. And, you know, that's cool too. You know, like I appreciate all these little things, and I think that's awesome. And then there's Sideswipe or whatever, Tiger Tracks for comparison. You know, like, look, the funny thing is I like this mode a lot more than I'm letting on, I think, than I'm expressing. I don't know if I'm expressing, like, I think they knocked this out of the park. I think this is great. Obviously, it could be a bit cleaner, and that's probably operator error. But it's just, I think it's just, it takes so much to get here that you don't really appreciate it as much, because you're like, man, I turned it into an L-shaped square or chair or something along those lines. And it took me, you know, I had to get my encyclopedia out. I had to get an idiot's guide to engineering. But I also, at the same time, I appreciate just how intricate the engineering is. You know, like it's a very odd little balance that this thing kind of walks. And I do think there's an element of beauty to this, as frustrating as it may be. So there's a size comparison with MP10, and it's interesting. Like, just seeing them next to each other, like, obviously the MP10 look means way more to me, you know, because it's from my childhood. But this new design, like, it kind of is far more interesting, you know, to look at. It's just something to take note of. And there he is with Generation Toy Jazz, which is kind of a masterpiece IDW style jazz. And I think that looks pretty cool too. I'm really happy about how that looks, actually. Final thoughts wise, unfortunately, we have a lot of negatives here. First of all, remember I warned you about this piece here that had the stress mark? Yeah, well, mine broke, transforming it back to robot mode. Snapped right off. So I got to check about getting a replacement. Not sure that's even going to be possible. But the cost of doing business. Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you. We'll see how it works out. My wrist won't move. You know, like I finally took a pair of stronger pliers, or larger pliers rather, and got it to turn a little bit. But, I mean, it feels like I'm destroying the toy. There are stress marks all over this thing because of where the pins are in relation to the size of the plastic. And that's a big, big problem. And then the transformation isn't really enjoyable. It's rewarding and it's complicated. It's challenging. If you're into that, that's definitely an upside. But it's not a lot of fun. It's very tedious. It's meticulous. And those are really my big faults for this fella. That, and I saw that before it happened. That is unforgivable. That is poorly designed. If it's going to be this thin, it needs to be super reinforced plastic. It needs to be very strong plastic. I'm a hard-handed guy, a heavy-handed guy rather, and I used great care with this. So this is a unforgivable sin in my opinion right here. And then the wrist is just, I'm sure that's individual results will vary, but it's still a pretty big bummer for me. But yeah, other than that, that's about the only negatives I have. Unfortunately, the negatives are significant. Positive sides, though, there are a lot of them. the aesthetic and the sculpt of this is absolutely beautiful. Like it's breathtaking. It's going to catch your eye. It just has a strong presence. It's going to make you notice it. The articulation works fairly well. A couple little hiccups here and there, but nothing that's not forgivable. I think for what this thing is, it moves very, very well. The paint is great. You're going to run into problems where it's on die cast, but just use care and you shouldn't have an issue. There's a lot of love in the paint. The engineering is beautiful. It's impressive, you know, but at the same time, it's hard to deal with. So like, it's a little bit of give and take. It's like, if you're into that sort of a thing, it'll work for you. And if you're not, you're going to find it fairly frustrating. Me personally, I will never transform this again. Ever. Never, ever, 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 ever. Given this to transform along with other options in a similar bracket in terms of being an undesirable pastime for me to take part in, I'm choosing other options.
Well, I guess I'll heat these up.
But you can tell they really wanted to do this. You can tell this wasn't a cash grab. This was something that they were passionate about. And that passion definitely comes through. Unfortunately, it comes through very delicately. And as a result, my personal recommendation is to not transform this. Especially if you're noticing the stress marks where I noticed mine. Because it's hard to keep track of all those pieces when they're hidden by other pieces, and it's impossible to kind of take care of them. I can recommend this if you are putting them on a shelf, or if you are an expert transformer guy. You're just so good at it. Aren't you good? Bless your heart. Then yes, I can recommend that you mess with this, because you will enjoy it, and it is a pretty impressive piece. I can also recommend this if you don't plan on transforming it. But if you plan on treating this like a toy, I can't recommend this. That being said, even if this piece can't get fixed, even if it can't be replaced, and I ordered it from GCI Toys, I'm hoping they'll take care of me. They've taken care of me in the past. But even if this can't be replaced, I'm still going to be fairly impressed and happy with it on my shelf. And it's broken. So that's got to say something. Do you know what I mean? You know what it is? All right. So transformations aren't my strong suit, right? The transformation of this is above my pay scale. However, the engineering of this is above G-Creations' pay scale. And they don't have a concept or a strong grip on what makes a piece durable to have to endure this sort of transformation. And as a result, there's a lot of stress marks and there are delicate pieces. Hope that makes sense. Beautiful to look at though. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.